Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Chris Salcedo Show here on Newsmax TV. As all of you know, the governor of New York, COVID Cuomo, is being pressured 3 ways from Sunday to resign. Left-wing luminaries like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are openly calling for the lech to step down. Now, I said yesterday that I hope he doesn't step down. I thought I owed all of you an explanation as to why. Democrat voters owe America an apology. We talk about something that's long overdue in tonight's preamble. The governor of New York, along with his pro-communist brother, a star over at CNN, Fredo Cuomo, have long been celebrated by the American left as paragons of the Democrat Socialist Party. Though an investigation conducted by a member of Cuomo's own party found out just how serious the sexual misconduct accusations are against Mr. Cuomo. According to a female member of Cuomo's security detail, the Love Gov ran his finger down her neck, following her spine down to the small of her back. That same woman describes how Cuomo rubbed his open palm across her stomach. Now, according to some Democrats, that's 100% normal behavior. Just ask Bill Clinton, he'll tell you. But creepy COVID Cuomo caused many Americans to throw up a little in their mouth yesterday when he defended his actions, claiming he violates everybody he meets in the same way. Watch.
I do it with everyone, black and white, young and old, straight and LGBTQ, powerful people, friends, strangers, people who I meet on the street.
Now, Cuomo has said he's going nowhere, taking a cue from the aforementioned Slick Willie. Cuomo thinks his place is in power in New York. And that's part of the reason why I want him to stay in office. I want Americans to know what a real socialist Democrat looks like. I want them to see the arrogance, the entitlement, their core beliefs. I want Americans to see how leftists think the laws of our nation don't apply to them. I want Americans to be reminded every single day of the soulless depravity that is the American left wing. Now, some Democrat voters may decide they don't want to be associated with such loathsome examples of humanity, and that would hurt Democrats electorally, which is a desired outcome. But there's another reason why I want Cuomo to stay in office. It's because so many socialists want him out. The public's attention is nearly exclusively on Cuomo's sexual deviancy. But if we're honest with each other, isn't that the norm for most socialist Democrats? If COVID Cuomo resigns, he will become another in a long line of arrogant abusers that the press can quickly ignore. And it will take the attention off the real scandal that leftists are afraid of. Andrew Cuomo is being investigated for his deadly and unscientific order to throw China virus patients into nursing homes. The investigation is even more urgent because Cuomo and his staff are accused of hiding the numbers of senior citizens that his nonsensical order killed. If Cuomo is out of office and the investigation comes back in, finding Cuomo guilty, it's one day of coverage from the biased press. But if Cuomo is a serving politician, that story is going to go on, and it will reinforce how untrustworthy and serpent-like the Socialist Democrat Party really is. Now, don't forget, Socialist Governors Nit Whitmer of Michigan, Phil Murphy of New Jersey, Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania, they all gave similar orders during the opening days of the pandemic. If Cuomo was found to have killed thousands of innocent seniors with his order, then covering it up, the other governors could well be on the hook as well, causing many more Democrat voters to part ways with a party that has such depraved values. Even Democrat voters have elderly moms and dads that they love. Speaking of the elderly, that brings me to Joe Biden. Yesterday, this hypocrite had this to say about COVID Cuomo's political future.
Back in March, you said that if the investigation confirmed the allegations against Governor Cuomo, then he should resign. So will you now call on him to resign, given the investigators said the 11 women were credible?
I stand by that statement.
Are you now calling on him to resign?
Yes.
Okay, is anyone else out there rolling their eyes at the sight of Biden, a man himself credibly accused of rape by a woman by the name of Tara Reid, calling on Cuomo to resign. But let's put that aside. Isn't Biden doing the same thing to America that Cuomo was accused of doing to New York seniors? Today on the Chris Salcedo Show on radio, I interviewed Chris Cabrera. He's the vice president of the U.S. Border Patrol's union. I asked him this point blank. Can you confirm that Biden's government is ordering the release of illegal aliens infected with the virus into the United States?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the day after the La Jolla story broke, there's another town down here probably about 20 miles east called Weslaco, and the same thing happened there. There was a hotel full of people there that were infected with COVID, and, you know, I think they owe it to the community, that local community and the workers of those hotels to at least know what's coming to them, because they have families, too, that could get sick. And
like COVID, Cuomo did with nursing homes, Joe Biden is infecting U.S. cities and our citizens. For those of you who don't remember, Biden has been caught in at least 2 American cities of dropping in hotels full of illegal aliens infected with the China virus. Biden turned over custody of those illegal aliens to NGOs like Catholic Charities. Now, these charities are great at humanitarian work, but they really suck at public health. Catholic Charities and other NGOs are allowing infected illegal aliens to come into our cities and spread the Delta variant to our people, blacks, browns, whites, Americans, in short. Biden is doing this in secret. He's not telling unsuspecting Americans that he is bringing in the equivalent of a bioweapon into our cities and towns. A radio show caller today reminded me that this is the first time that American government has done this to a set of people. Those of us who are not recent products of government-run education, well, we remember history, those lessons on how the United States government gave blankets infected with smallpox and other diseases to Native American Indians in an effort to sicken them, weaken them, and eventually wipe them out. How is what Biden is doing to us any different than those actions? How is Biden any different from Governor Cuomo's actions? If you talk to Biden's Attorney General, failed Supreme Court Justice nominee Merrick Garland, he says that because the United States government has the right to exclusively oversee immigration, that gives Biden and his evil administration the right to infect our citizens with any deadly disease he wants, so long as he uses illegal aliens as a delivery system. I know that many of you Democrat voters are saying to yourselves, you're saying, I never wanted any of this. But not all of you Democrats are saying that. I actually had 2 socialists reach out to my radio show today saying they support Biden infecting Americans with the deadly China virus, saying it's what America deserves. Here's one of them.
Wherever you put them, it's fine.
It's fine with you?
Just fine with me.
And if they show up in Whataburger like they did in La Jolla, if they show up and so you're okay with them infecting your fellow citizens?
I'm okay, and I'm also okay with them letting the felonies on the street.
So that's why I say that all Democrat voters and never-Trumpers out there owe America an apology. Look at what you've done to us. Real Americans don't want the crime. Real Americans don't want the failing economy. Real Americans don't want their own government spreading the China virus into our towns without proper safeguards or our knowledge or consent.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.